Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Second?
Second that motion.
Thank you, Diana. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay. First item, review and approval of prior meeting minutes, which I think were distributed a while ago, but this is from November 18th.
Motion to approve minutes, Vanessa.
Thank you, Vanessa. Second,
Second.
Brian, thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Financials, is that Brian or is that Neil? Or someone else?
Yeah, I can speak to those,
Okay,
David.
Yep.
Sorry, let me get my stuff.
good.
The financials for CCS are so easy. It actually sometimes takes me longer just because I feel like it's too good to be true. But the deliverables for the end of December, I wasn't able to get those finalized before the agenda was due. So
Okay.
the current cash position is effective as of November 30th, 2020. Year to date, there is a $28,873 positive variance to, well, it's not income, but it's contributed income to expenses. And really the last November, the only variance that was noteworthy was the payment for the Sunbelt rental for the Halloween street signage, going back to last year.
Right.
And then in December, well, your next meeting won't be next month, but moving forward, you'll start seeing some more expenses from CCS just associated with, and JR can speak a little bit to this if he chooses, but the affiliation to Founders Day and events that are coming up.
Right.
But total cash, $138,248.90. There's no reserves for the nonprofit.
Right.
And again, annual expenditures to, well, not even really budget because we didn't have a budget prior, are in positive variance. Brian, what did I miss?
I have a quick question, actually. This is Vanessa. Were we going to be putting in the cost for the sanitation and all that stuff down from Front Street? All of those, all the COVID prevention type stuff that we were doing there. The stations, the hand sanitizer stations.
Yeah,
Yes,
I was
that's what I was
wondering
looking
that.
for.
Yeah.
I believe, let me pull this up real quick.
Or I was wondering that if that might have been a prior month or prior reporting period.
I believe that was October, but I'm looking right now.
I just didn't see it in this, so that's why I'm asking.
Right.
If I could, one of the notes I had made to myself is I just wanted to do a review on CCS myself. For example, if I look at operating expenses and administrative expenses, they total $11,000, but we've got current liabilities of $16,500, which probably means there's something held over from prior year. And it would be very easy for me to get with Neil before the next meeting and just go through this a little. So
Okay.
It hasn't been looked at from a almost like thinking about audit type perspective, and it would be quick and easy, and then we can answer some of these questions. But nonetheless, the cash position is very strong.
Yeah. I'll have to look into the PPE that was I guess donated on behalf of Crow Board via CCS. I really think that was probably going back to even August, September, but let me document it just so the board can know that the money went to where it was supposed to go with the nonprofit.
Thank you. I just want to make sure it didn't come out of our Crow budget. It went out of this instead. That was my only concern.
Right. It was a CCS. We did, yeah. Anything else under financials? Thank you for Brian, for taking a look at this. And I know that it's very straightforward here. Okay, let's go to the next item. Motion to approve the 2021 Founders Day fireworks by Garden State Fireworks, Inc. in the amount of $25,500. And the contract was attached. And I know there was also some prior information, Neil and Brian, that you shared with some prior emails and documentation. So any background on this particular contract? This is moving forward. This is for Founders Day this coming year, November.
David, I do have one question, and it's just
Sure.
really a clarification or an understanding for all.
Yeah.
Founders Day, how is this going to be something that benefits the greater good and those outside of celebration?
Okay. Because that makes it a CCS question.
Yeah, and if you will remember when we did the budget, and I can refloat it around, Founders Day actually has events on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And I'm going from memory here. Saturday was the fireworks, I think. Thursday was a concert, and Friday was like a virtual race. And when we went through and did the budget, I actually built a spreadsheet and showed by each day the estimated revenue and expense. And we went through and signed off as a board on the allocation of whether it was going to be for the community or not. And we had said that for the 25th anniversary, that we thought there would certainly be a lot of people coming in for the community for fireworks and celebration. And that's how we got to the answer.
So for the sake
Okay.
of, for the sake of time, how about if I'll make a motion. If we get
Okay.
a second, great. At
Thank-
least we'll start somewhere rather than just asking questions.
Great, thank you.
So I motion to approve the 2021 Founders Day fireworks by Garden State Fireworks in the amount of $25,500.
Good.
I'll
We have a
second that for discussion.
Thank you, Diana.
Have we had a conversation with Lexan about Lexan reimbursing part of the expense and sharing in the cost of Founders Days? Certainly, we haven't talked about where the fireworks would be, but if the fireworks are going to be downtown over the lake at Lakeside, like we normally do, the restaurants, the bars, everything downtown is going to benefit. We're going to have to do the safety procedures and everything the way we would normally do it. I expect JR had sent a note down there. I saw where both the concert and the fireworks are on Saturday. So a concert and a firework on Saturday, we're going to have out of celebration crowd for certain. And, you know, it seemed to me like this is certainly a benefit to Lexan and its businesses downtown, and we ought to be asking them to share. So I think I'm throwing that out as an addition to Vanessa and Diana's motion, because I think we do the fireworks and we pay for them, but I would like to talk about reimbursement. And I know Kevin had a previous email about prior year, but I mean, to me, this is the year we ought to get the money.
So a side question on JR. Is the concert at Lakeside, is the concert downtown, is the concert at the CCFC? You may have covered that 3 or 4 or 5 months ago.
Everything is downtown, David. The concert will be downtown. The fireworks will be
okay.
downtown.
Okay, so it's all contiguous.
Correct.
Okay, so that supports Brian's point there.
David, do you mind if I,
No, jump in, please.
JR, I don't know if you're comfortable discussing it just yet, but I know you are constantly working with Lexan and offering opportunities. Has the firework component come up for 2021 with them yet?
We had a brief discussion, and just to be frankly honest, actually, we had a discussion yesterday again, and he was shocked to learn that we were not funding July 4th. So I'm not sure just how much Lexan may or may not be willing to contribute to this.
But they'll be given every opportunity to participate jointly with money and or participate with the sponsorship kind of campaign you and I are heading up, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
That's nice. I'll take the lead for Kevin on this one. I think we should have a specific ask. I mean, we paid 20, I'm going from memory here, I think it was $27.50 last year. CROA paid, or probably CCS paid it on behalf of the community contractually. I think we had the legal obligation, but I think it's fair for Lexan to do it. As far as Lexan not knowing we're doing the 4th of July this year, I find that very surprising, since they follow most things that we talk about from a budgeting perspective and everything else. And the answer is no, we're not doing it for the 4th. But to me, this almost speaks in some ways to, all right, how do we think about what we do at Town Center based upon the partnership with Lexington? So I want to push them on the partnership. I think it's the right thing to do.
Yes, I agree.
Kevin, add your 50 cents. But I mean, on this one, I agree with you very much.
David,
No,
we're
you,
still in.
you said it pretty well.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Go
Sorry,
ahead, Neil.
David, we're still in discussion after the motion, right?
Yes, we're in discussion. We haven't moved that.
I know this may not be a conversation in this particular meeting, but is the board looking at a 50-50 partnership from a financial contribution?
If I may, I'll jump into this, and Brian, thank you for kind of opening that segue. I see this event. Listen, we're still in the pandemic. We're still in this weird phase, right? We're a little more educated than we were last year when we were going into the 4th of July and the contracts and the obligations that we had there. On an operational standpoint, I almost see this Founders Day being operationally pretty similar, if not identical, to a 4th of July event. And for that respect, I would turn around and say, let's go ahead and go that same path where we're essentially doing a similar large community event downtown with the partnership the same fashion. I mean, if we can go ahead and do 4th of July fireworks, that would have been amazing. I think we're all in that same boat that it's too soon to get a large gathering there. I'm willing to bet and gamble when it comes to November, and things might be at that point, geez, a year and a half, a little more than that we've been dealing with this as a world. Before we sign on the dotted line, I think everybody on this board has become that much wiser with this when things go downhill. So I would prefer that we push this off until we have that specific conversation with Lexington and a commitment or not, because that could really change quite a bit.
So you're saying push off the decision?
Help me understand why we would push off the decision. And here's my thought process, just so that we're being perfectly frank here. I think we have to celebrate Founders Day. I think we have to get the plans for the concert, the fireworks, and everything else in place. I would hope that Lexington is going to be a partner. If Lexington is not going to be a partner, then I think it has to shape all of our conversations about where and what we do and how we think about Lexington.
David,
I
I
think
bring
that's-
that amount up because, make no mistake, I have no issues asking and educating on the benefit of Lexington being a business partner in here. But I don't want overkill, but I also don't want to under ask. And I know there's still that lingering 2750 that, it seems like there's some from last year. So I wasn't sure if we're asking for 60%. I just want to make sure when we ask, we're asking for what the board feels is equitable and reasonable.
The other part is the timing of this. I'm assuming, JR, that you need to get a signed contract so that we can lock in with the fireworks company?
I do. Usually fireworks are booked anywhere from about 10 to 12 months out. They are aware that this was going to be on the agenda today.
Okay.
But I'd be hesitant to wait a few more months.
Yeah, okay. Not that there's a whole lot of competition. I mean, 4th of July there is, but we want to lock it in. So we could vote on this today. We could approve it and at the same time pursue, if you will, contribution. I know that the JR's spreadsheet had contributions listed, and Neil, you could go after 50%.
Let me ask a question, if I may, David. I mean, for the other board, I spoke my opinion, but I'd love to know what Vanessa and Diana think. If Lexington said they were going to contribute 0, would it change your approach to Founders Day?
Me personally, no. I think it's something that the owners, we haven't had anything big for celebration for all of COVID. I think it would be a disservice to our owners to not have a big 25th anniversary. So regardless of how Lexington votes. Now, the flip side of that is that if Lexington says, no, we don't want to contribute, then we have more flexibility as far as I'm concerned as to how much we want to actually have downtown. That actually provides CROA more options. So I think that I think no matter how we progress or how we move forward with Lexington, I think we need to have the fireworks, and I think that it would be a disservice if we didn't.
Diana?
So go ahead. Good.
My comment will be, with the total amount that we're spending on this, when we thought, compared to other fireworks, I don't have the answer to this, is this a similar amount to what we paid? Or is this amount the amount that we thought we'd get and then participate? So if it was just us doing it, will we spend the same amount? That's my question.
When we did the budget for, I'm going to answer you in a different way. When we did the 2021 budget, we did not budget it assuming reimbursements. I think we always thought that we would make the ask.
Right, so this is a budgeted amount then. So I would agree with going forward with it, even without having their commitment to participate.
And on that note, going to Vanessa's point, if they were to choose not participate, then JR, would we then have flexibility on location of concert and fireworks? Or is that embedded in here? That this assumes Lakeside and downtown?
No, the contract is for a pyrotechnic show. If we wanted to look at moving this possibly to the CCF, I would have to just have the crews come on site to look at launch points, because obviously we can't launch anywhere near artificial turf. So we'd have to look at some options.
Okay, got it.
If I can, David, just to help everybody here, I've actually called up the budget now. And on Thursday, that is when there's the race, the virtual race and the real race and whatever we're doing with the race. And we budgeted Thursday to CCS. We had revenues of 17,000, expenses of 12,000 for a gain of 4,800. For Thursday is when we have family activities, light towers, entertainment, DJ, stuff like that. That one we budgeted to CROA for 21,285 because we thought it would be predominantly resident only. Then that was Friday. On Saturday, we had 15,500 of a CDD return deposit for revenue. We had expenditures of 71,560 that was CCS. So from a revenue perspective at CCS, we had revenues of 32.5. We had expenses of 83,748 for a loss to CCS of 51,248. We budgeted no reimbursement from anything, but we contemplated that we would have an ask and expect some funding because it would benefit downtown.
Right, that makes sense.
I think if I can jump in, and thank you, Brian, for that. I think my biggest concern, and I couldn't agree more, that we need a large event when it's appropriate to do so. My big concern is I don't want to go ahead and flirt that line with CCS funding inappropriately. So I would absolutely love to go ahead and see an event like this if it wasn't a partnership downtown as other options. I want to go ahead and see, hey, is an option at the CCFC, is the option in Artisan Park, is the option in South Village. I don't know where it could be, North Village in the middle there. I would like to go ahead and know those options when we don't have a commitment of that partner, especially when the event's CCS dollars, how would we go ahead and do that on the fields? So, and Brian, I know that the numbers, they kind of all add together and you can kind of move them as necessary to go against the appropriate budget and the appropriate entity, I guess is a better way to say it. But I have questions that I'm not confident on. I honestly wish that we had a commitment or a little more information on the Lexington side for the downtown purpose of this signing the contract today. That's my main concern.
Okay.
How long would, so Neil and JR, how long would it take you to have a conversation and with Alexa and get more feedback? Because we could do a CCS meeting on this one item in 2 weeks if we wanted to. I mean, it could be a short, brief meeting. Or
before a workshop, for example.
I don't want to speak for JR. He has the more established relationship. I'm pretty sure we can get a response within a week.
I guess my question is, can we just vote on this? And if we have different change, I mean, I think just I'm not removing my motion from the table. I'm assuming that Diane is going to keep her second on. So I'm fine with calling the vote whenever you want to. But I just feel like we just are going to kick the can down, and it just, I think if ultimately we have the board members, and we may not, I mean, we may not have the board members, but at least call the vote and either end the motion and move on, or figure something else out. So that's my
Yeah,
thoughts.
and by calling the vote, if it approved, we can still pursue and have some leverage with Lexington, because that will help determine whether there's crowds downtown, if there's fireworks there or not there.
I think to Kevin's point, I did not think about that. I think to Kevin's point, fireworks, if we're going to take it out of CCS budget, it has to be viewable for everybody. So I think we need to make sure. Yeah,
that's a good
I just,
point.
yeah,
That's a good point.
I
That's a
think
good
that's a
point.
very valid, I think it's a very valid point that Kevin made. So I don't want to discount that, but I don't want to remove this motion from the table. So.
Okay. Any other discussion, or should we call the question? I see no more
Call the vote, I
discussion.
guess.
Let's call the vote. Vanessa,
Yes.
Diana,
Yes.
Kevin,
No.
Brian,
Thinking, if CCS signs the contract and we decide to move it, we could easily change the party from CCS to CROA if we wanted to. I'd like to, I'll vote yes with the understanding that I very much support Kevin's question, and I'm 100% comfortable that what Garden State wants is they want to do fireworks in November. And if we decide as a board to make it a CROA event versus a CCS event for the fireworks, we can easily do that, and we have the funding capacity to do that.
so with that, and while we're still voting, one vote left, Susanna, then our minutes would reflect Brian's thinking.
Yes, I'd like my thinking to be reflected, because I'm really saying I agree with Kevin, but I think we have flexibility to get that, because Garden State just wants a contract.
Yeah. And we need to lock in the fireworks for our residents. So with that, the last vote is me, and I will vote yes. And I really appreciate Brian's point and Kevin raising it. So I think that we still have leverage for this to get some reimbursement. And I guess, Neil, the guidance is go for what you can. And to me, an ideal would be half.
That's what I was going to pursue unless I was told otherwise.
Any other discussion on that? Seeking
Kevin,
half?
I'm sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
Oh, no, I didn't say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry, I heard you say something. Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine, because I think just to clarify, because the 4th got up, I don't think we should be doing anything for the 4th rather than our parade and our normal stuff, because to do the Founder's Day, we're going to have sheriff's deputies. We're going to have all kinds of security, and so we're going to have expenses around it. It's in the budget. We've already got a hefty budget, and we specifically said we put it towards Founder's Days, and it buys us as much COVID time as possible.
Okay. We are about out of time. We have another minute. It won't be much of a discussion on holiday decorations. I know, Brian, you had a comment on that, so we can then talk about that in the future.
Why don't we do it at the CROA meeting, and Jack can,
Okay, good.
when we talk about CCD, I can talk about it there.
Okay, that's a good point. That'll be under like the CCDD report.
That's
And just as part of the discussion, I'm not going to be on the board when you guys vote for this, but so it's just me, just being me. I am not in support of CROA or CCS actually decorating other area properties. That's my 2 cents on that one. And that's more in my mind, it's a liability issue, but we can move that on to another conversation, but I just wanted to make sure that got said.
I specifically did not agree to that at all, and Jack did not have an ask.
So you are agreeing with Vanessa, just to be clear, Brian?
Yeah, I decorating the Esplanade is a.
Right.
I mean, I'll talk about it during CCD, but they're going to ask Lexington, and they're going to get another quote from an outside party and make a decision. They're going to do it. It's not us.
Next CCS
board, so I'm not going to ask him to decorate.
Okay. As we close, our next CCS meeting date?
Well, when the next board comes in.
It'll be the next board.
Yeah,
So,
possibly April 28th, somewhere around there.
Okay, so let's, Neil, let's put that on the agenda for the new board as they are starting to schedule things. And then we can finalize that then. Can we have a motion to adjourn so we can all log into the other Zoom account?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Vanessa. Second?
Sure.
Second.
Okay, good. Diana, and we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. See you on the other,
See you on the other
meeting.
end.
See you
Thank
soon.
you.